Good morning, this is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. It's Friday, April 10th, 2026. Today, Anthropic withholds a new Claude model over vuln risks, Meta restarts its stack with Muse Spark, plus deals, enterprise reality checks, and a few rapid-fire infrastructure and policy notes. Orion's here. Ready?
Ready, let's move.
NBC News reported on April 8th that Anthropic is holding back Claude Mythos Preview. What happened?
Anthropic says the model can identify and exploit high-severity software vulnerabilities, so they're not releasing it publicly. Access is limited to vetted Project Glasswing partners, mainly for defensive security work, and Anthropic says it will disclose discovered vulnerabilities to affected vendors within 135 days.
So this is basically too capable to ship?
That's the claim, and it's notable because it's concrete. Exploit finding and exploit chaining are measurable. Also, Anthropic is offering usage credits to partners doing defensive work, which nudges the model towards security research instead of chaos. Nothing says preview like, you can't have it.
What should listeners watch for in the follow-through?
Two things: whether the partner program meaningfully improves real-world patching, and whether the 135-day disclosure window becomes a de facto norm. If multiple labs start treating offensive capability as a release gate, we may see more selective access models rather than broad launches.
CNBC reported on April 8th that Meta launched Muse Spark. What is it in plain English?
Meta says Muse Spark is its first large model from the new Superintelligence Labs, led by Alexandra Wang. They're positioning it as natively multimodal and as the engine behind Meta AI across Meta's apps, with selectable modes depending on how complex your question is.
Selectable mode sounds like a knob for cost and latency?
Exactly. You route easy questions to cheaper, faster inference and save heavyweight reasoning for tougher tasks. Meta also framed this as a major restart after a 9-month rebuild of its AI stack, so it's not just a model drop, it's a platform reset.
What's the strategic angle? Why do this now?
Control and consistency. If Meta can unify multimodal capabilities and policy behavior across Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook, it improves product velocity and reduces fragmentation. And with modes, they can manage compute budgets while still marketing smarter experiences.
Calculus CTech, citing the information report on April 9th, says Nebius is back in talks to acquire AI21 Labs. What do we know?
The reporting says Nebius, an AI infrastructure company, restarted acquisition discussions with Israel-based model developer AI21 after earlier negotiations involving NVIDIA didn't result in a deal. The logic is vertical integration, infrastructure plus models, aimed at building an end-to-end platform for developing and operating AI agents.
Why is an infra company shopping for a model shop?
Because the margins and defensibility often sit higher in the stack. If Nebius can pair compute, tooling, and a first-party model family, it can sell a bundled agent factory instead of being a commodity compute provider competing on price.
Any watch-outs if this moves forward?
Integration risk and customer trust. Enterprises may like a single throat to choke, but they also worry about lock-in. The key will be whether Nebius keeps AI21 usable as a neutral model option, not just a captive engine for their own platform.
CIO Dive covered Altimetric research on April 8th. Most enterprises still lack a clear AI strategy. What's driving that?
The report says organizations are rushing to deploy because leadership pressure is high and cost-cutting is a common stated motive. But many don't have mature governance, risk guardrails, or consistent ways to measure return on investment, so teams ship pilots fast, then struggle to operationalize safely.
What does no strategy look like day to day?
It's scattered tooling, duplicate experiments, unclear data access rules, and nobody owning model accountability. You also see inconsistent procurement. One team buys copilots, another builds agents, a third signs a separate platform contract. Then finance asks why the AI bill looks like a second cloud migration.
What's the practical fix most companies miss?
A small set of shared standards. What data can be used, how models are evaluated, what gets logged, and who signs off for sensitive workflows. You don't need a 100-page manifesto. You need a few enforceable rules that let teams move fast without creating invisible risk.
A few rapid-fire updates to round it out. Reuters reported on April 9th that Sci5 raised $400 million. with Atrides leading and NVIDIA participating to enter data center CPUs. Orion, quick reminder, what is Sci5?
Sci5 is a major player in RISC-V processor design. Think customizable CPU cores licensed to others. This round signals investors want alternatives in data center compute, not just GPUs. If they can pair solid general-purpose CPU performance with AI-heavy workloads, it widens the infrastructure playbook.
On the policy front, Axios reported on April 9th that the White House is pressuring some GOP-led states over proposed AI rules, including a letter opposing a Utah bill. What's the tension?
It's a federal versus state control fight, with politics layered on top. Some states want transparency and safety guardrails. The administration appears to be trying to prevent a patchwork of rules. The practical outcome is uncertainty. Companies can't plan compliance if the ground shifts between state houses and D.C.
Business and funding got spicy, too. CNBC on April 9th says OpenAI knocked Anthropic in a shareholder memo, bragging about 30 gigawatts by 2030 versus 7 to 8 by end of 2027. Reuters on April 8th says Anthropic narrowed the revenue gap. Data Center Knowledge on April 9th flags bridge loans for GPUs, and Network World on April 9th warns Rubin delays. Also, OpenAI posted a child safety blueprint on April 8th via Let's Data Science.
All of that points to the same theme. Compute is the scoreboard, but cash flow is the referee. If next-gen GPU timelines wobble and credit tightens, the who scales fastest story gets messier. And the child safety blueprint shows the other pressure. More capability means more responsibility, whether companies like it or not.
That's XPulse AI Morning Mix from XPulse for Friday, April 10th, 2026. If this helped you track the signal, share it with a coworker, and we'll see you next time.